Since ancient times, humans have believed in the existence of some beings from other dimensions. Furthermore, they have written the specifications of these beings into books. The point, which is overlooked by everyone, is that these invisible beings share the same features even across different cultures in the world. Through the ages, these creatures have been called many different names such as spirit, ghost, fairy, goblin, incubus, and so on. In our modern understanding, these creatures are mostly called aliens. However, these beings are actually one and not different, for they all share the same features, as we are going to see. In the Quran, only jinn are mentioned as beings who resemble humans but live in a higher dimension. According to Quran, the only intelligent creatures are jinns alongside human beings. In order to understand the story as a whole, first we must observe and summarize the relationship between jinns and humans throughout history. Because as you will see in this documentary series, all these historical facts are in accordance with the information written in the Holy Quran. As you will see, the history of the relationship between jinns and humans in the Quran is supported by declarations, information and evidence, gathered from different places. Among the writings and books reaching our day, this subject is summarized and told best, in Quran. In other words, the Creator has told the relationship of jinns and humans, in order to warn human beings for the last time and encourage them to profit from history. Jinns, also known as aliens, have been created before human beings. After the creation of human beings, the jinns have been sent to another dimension. That is the reason why some of the jinns developed a grudge against humans, who have ended their reign over the world, and as a result, they have been named as Satan or Devil. And these devils try to ruin this created order for humans as much as they can. We are going to explain these in the later parts with historical facts.
See those birds? At some point, a program was written to govern them. A program was written to watch over the trees and the wind, sunrise and sunset. There are programs running all over the place. The ones doing their job, doing what they were meant to do, are invisible. You'd never even know they were here. But the other ones, well, you hear about them all the time.
I've never heard of them.
Of course you have. Every time you've heard someone say they saw a ghost or an angel. Every story you've ever heard about vampires, werewolves, or aliens is the system assimilating some program that's doing something they're not supposed to be doing.
Programs hacking programs. Why?
There are reasons, but usually a program chooses exile when it faces deletion.
And why would a program be deleted?
Maybe it breaks down. Maybe a better program is created to replace it. Happens all the time.
In the previous episode, we mentioned that the third dimension, which we are into, is composed of atoms that are almost completely hollow inside, and that the unobservable subatomic particles, inside of these atoms, build the fourth dimension. We also presented various concrete evidence of the existence of metaphysical beings. Alongside, we also mentioned that scientists also argue that there can be fourth dimensional beings and that their features are just the same as the creatures we call jinns. Again, it was told by some scientists that the creatures that we accept as aliens, but actually the same as jinns, are living in the fourth dimension. One of the first British astronauts who went to space, Helen Sharman, has stated that the aliens are in fact living in the fourth dimension and they can see us, while we human beings cannot see them. Again, a beloved American ufologist, John Kell, believed in the later stages of his life that aliens surely exist and it is futile to look for them on other planets, because they are in fact here with us, just in another dimension that we cannot comprehend. Also, as you will see in this episode, people who have been on an astral journey and passed into the fourth dimension have told they have seen creatures, always in the same fashion. The more we observe, the more we can find evidence on this subject. In this episode, we are going to show you the common features of jinns and aliens, and we are going to tell you that they are in fact the same species. We have gathered and organized these data from the statements of different people from different and not related parts of the world, who have been in contact with fourth dimensional beings. As you will see, phenomenally, people from every part of the world have told the same stories about these beings. Of course, These collective narrations, which are far from being coincidental, can be shown as proof of this truth. In the light of the information given in this episode, you will understand how aliens actually shape our world and how they contribute to some serious psychological illnesses. Along with it, you will also have a better understanding of how these jinns have created polytheistic religions in the past, and what kind of malicious acts they have been participating in using Masons. We welcome you to this new episode of our documentary series, which will help you to understand and take measures against the ones who have been trying to establish a new world order, plotting against humanity and laying traps, taking orders and help from Satan himself by sorcery. Hoping you are ready, let's move on with our new episode. Before we start, there is a point that you should never forget. Jinns, in other words, aliens, are completely in harmony with quantum physics as told in our last episode. In order to understand the actions of jinns, who may appear as holograms and in any form they want, who can have a biological body when they shift to the third dimension, who can affect our feelings and thoughts, who can appear small or big at times, and who has many other capabilities, you should have fully understood the quantum physics or fourth dimension. That way you can comprehend realities that seem inconceivable to our minds and in our dimensions. If you still find this unbelievable, you might remember that thoughts shape invisible electrons, or that the incredible internet and computer technology are also fourth-dimensional innovations.
What are they, spacemen? Interdimensional beings, in point of fact.
First of all, let's talk about the belief in jinn beliefs all over the world. Historical sources indicate that almost all cultures that have ever lived have believed in jinn. In some cultures, it was known that jinns were the same as gods. In some cultures, it was thought that jinns were inferior to gods, but ultimately all cultures had the belief of jinn. The pre-Islamic Arabs also believed that jinn lived in tribes and groups, that they fought each other, and that storms and similar natural phenomena were caused by jinn. In Greek mythology, expressions similar to the word jinn and the word daimon were used for superhuman beings. The Greeks began to believe that some of the demons could be evil in the Hellenistic and Roman times. In ancient Rome, the word genius sometimes meant the soul and sometimes the dead. It was later used as a concept believed to protect a home or similar space. The Chinese understanding of Kui, jinn and shen, spirits in a broader sense, encompass the whole realm of the invisible. In Indians, Buddhas are jinn and ghouls who are generally believed to be found in places where the dead are cremated. Zarathustra also considered Iran's deities called Deva as jinn. According to the Mesopotamians, nature is full of spirits, jinn and devils. It was believed that every house has a protective genie of spirit. Jinn by the Babylonians, field jinns are grouped as cemetery jinns. Egyptians did not give special names to evil spirits, or jinn, and accepted them as gods in general. There are not many different beliefs on the African continent. Under the command of Erlik, who was the prince of the underworld in ancient Turks, there were evil spirits called Black Nama or Yak, which means devil in Uyghur, and they did all kinds of evil and inflicted diseases on both people and animals. Also known as elves in Germanic culture, Rusakas in Slavic culture, Narakas in Hinduism, Mara in Buddhism, and Oni and Tengu in ancient Japan, demons have taken their place in many ancient religions and beliefs. It is seen that the narratives about the jinn in the religious literature of the Jews after the Babylon exile increased. In the scriptures, apocryphal works and folk legends, especially in the mystical tradition called Kabbalah, shapeless and shadow-like jinn are depicted together with many prominent jinns whose names have special tasks. These jinns were half angelic, half human beings who lived in desolate places and showed their prowess at night. The jinn belief in Islam and the jinn belief in Christianity are almost exactly the same. In Christianity, the unbelievers of the jinn are evil creatures serving the devil. They were spirits whose basis consisted of steam or flame, which could be perceived by our senses as animals in general. They could influence people, and people would take various measures to protect themselves from their harm. Again, ancient sorcerers used meaningless words and words in their magic formulas, which are thought to be jinn names like today. Jinns are spoken just like today, with specific names and certain identifications.
goes by different names in different cultures. Asians believe it's evil ancestral ghosts. Arabs call it the jinn. In Old English, she was known as the mare, which is where we get
nightmares.
This all just seems like superstition, right?
Yeah, but then how do you explain what happened to you the night Beth died? How do you explain what happened tonight?
As can be seen, metaphysical entities, that is, jinns, are mentioned in all cultures. You can say, come on, they talk about other beings. How do you know that the concept of jinn is mentioned in all of them? We understand from these common points that in all cultures and mythologies, the same being called jinn is mentioned. 1. In most cultures, a word similar to the word jinn is used. 2. In all beliefs, it is mentioned that the jinns are creatures living like human beings, who can eat and drink, but in another dimension, and jinns can affect our dimension, or be visible only if an occurrence happens such as sorcery that can influence the dimensions. 3. In all cultures, jinn are said to have the same lifestyle, live in the same places and can take the form of various animals or humans. 4. Again, in all beliefs, the same magic methods can be used to communicate with the jinn, to make invitations and requests. 5. The pictures, idols and symbols depicted as jinn in all beliefs resemble each other. You will see proof of this in the following chapters while investigating the gods of polytheistic religions. 6. As we will explain in the following chapters, in the places where jinn are called gods, what they want from people, what they do, and their attitude towards people are all the same. Therefore, we understand that the beings called jinn are the same beings in all cultures.